Well, welcome to another episode of LorcanaChats. I am Chris, a.k.a. Questing for Lore, and with me as my guest today, I have someone who probably most of the people out there know as GooglyGlimmers. Joe, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah. My name's Joe. I was one of the judges at DLC Atlanta this weekend, and like Chris said, you probably know me as Googly Glimmers, the guy who puts googly eyes on cards for no real reason.
It's awesome. I think I remember your account was probably one of the first ones that I started following whenever I was looking around for Lorcana, themed accounts on Instagram and Twitter and oh, sorry, X, and all that kind of stuff. So it was always nice to see those cards pop up in my timeline. But yeah, anyway, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's see. Let's just start off with your experience with Lorcana. What kind of drew you to the game?
I think just I had been looking for a new card game to play since the thing that I had played previously was the license was lost, so it ended.
Oh
Android
no, what was
Netrunner.
that?
Android
Oh,
Netrunner was the game. Yeah.
nice,
FFG
nice.
lost the license to it, and I kind of just fell out of it. It's still actually continued by the community, but I haven't kept up with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
But
I
yeah, I
have
was
a
just
box
looking for
of
something new.
oh, go ahead.
No, no, no.
Sorry.
Sorry. I was just looking for something new, and Lorcana happened to appear on the radar. I had
Yeah.
to wait a little bit for it to actually come out. We kind of heard about it before Gen Con, but then when
Were
it came
you
out,
at that Gen Con or
I was not, but I did have a friend there,
okay.
so I sent some money along with him, and he was able to get me some a booster box, which was great.
Nice. Okay, cool. So you've been right there from the beginning then.
Yes, yeah, not from before the
Nice.
beginning, like a lot of content creators. I kind of picked it up right
Right.
at the very start, but that's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people I talked to that they did like they were like, well, we don't even know what the game is going to be like. It just sounds really cool. And so we're going to start talking and speculating about it, like 6 months before or something like that. I was
Right.
like, wouldn't you kind of run out of stuff to talk about eventually? But, I guess it held out long enough. So,
I kept it going.
yep. So wait, just the googly eye thing. Why did you start doing it? Was it just kind of a, hey, this would be fun or
I think I had seen somebody do it to Magic cards back on like Tumblr back
okay.
back in the
Oh,
day.
back in the day. Yep.
And I don't know, it just occurred to me that I hadn't seen anybody do it to a Lorcana card. And I was like, I could do that. Let's do
Yeah.
that.
Yep. It's
And
such fun too. It's just one of those things that it's like, oh, it's kind of funny and and it's pretty consistent and you get to do stuff like put them on the serialized Mickey,
yep, I
which I
was
thought was kind of funny
very
that they
lucky.
yeah,
Very
I was
lucky.
gonna say they let you borrow that for,
Yep.
taking the picture. But
Yeah, I'm very grateful to Zan for letting me just run up to it. Was he literally just come off of the stage at the presentation, and I was like, "Hey, Zan!" I kind of snuck in
so
there with my staff badge.
do you keep googly eyes in your pocket at all times?
I did this weekend. I had a little fanny pack with my judge stuff in it, notepad and pens and googly eyes.
Nice, nice. All right. So speaking of judging, I want to hear about it. I want to hear from the insider's perspective. I know we had some conversations before about, the rules and judging and everything. And then I ended up getting an actual competitor ticket. And so I, bowed out of it all. But you kept on going and you were one of the judges at the final table even.
I was, yeah, I was one of the. There were two table judges in the final. It was me and Ms. Memento, Ariel, and
Right,
then
right.
Albert was also there as well, keeping an eye, the head judge for the whole thing.
Okay.
So there was lots of
Cool.
oversight on the final table,
Yeah, I'm sure. Don't want any mistakes there.
for sure.
Um, so what made you interested in being a judge?
I think I've always been kind of interested in the like the rules and the way that mechanics work, that kind of thing. I
Hmm.
wanted to do it for Pokemon many, many years ago, but I never really dedicated enough time to actually learning all of those rules, so I just
Yeah,
failed the judge
yeah.
test repeatedly.
Oh no.
But that was a different time. I'm a lot more up to date with Lorcana's stuff than I ever was with Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Does Pokemon have like an official judges program? I'm assuming they do now. It's been around for forever.
Yes, Pokemon, I think well, I don't want to say always has, but from when I was playing, they had their professor program, which is
Okay.
this official tests that you can take. And I think there's a couple different levels to it. I never, like I said, I never got that far into it because I just it wasn't good enough back then. But I'm hoping that Lorcana
Um,
takes a similar route at some point.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine they wouldn't, you know. I mean, it's already the popularity is already through the roof, and I
Yeah,
think it's only going to grow even more.
I
So
hope
it
so.
it seems like it's just kind of a requirement for, as the community gets bigger and, more DLCs are happening and they need people all over the place. So, yeah.
Right.
So are you just like constantly studying the rules, or how do you kind of like keep up with them and, like be ready so that at the spur of a moment you can say, "Oh yeah, I can reference this particular rule and I know I'm right about it."
Um, I do so okay, it's not just like constant studying. I do
Right.
like whenever they do an update, I'll read through and study the changes a little bit
Mhm.
in the actual document. But for the most part, it's more looking at questions that people have and doing a little bit of cross-referencing and actually thinking about it. Like a lot of the time, a question, it is rare that somebody will have a question that I've never heard before, I guess,
Right.
from either the exact question or like something very similar. Um, but I mean, brand new ones do come up eventually or occasionally, which is
Yeah.
as those are the
And
interesting ones.
And I'm sure as the game evolves and new mechanics are added and, things change, if we ever get like a ban list or anything like that, I mean, that's going to be a whole
Yeah,
separate set of things to have to worry about.
for sure. But I I I I don't know what I'm gonna say. I think I enjoy that stuff. As
Yeah.
they make it more complicated and things interact with other cards in more different ways and more interesting ways. That's what keeps it interesting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're pretty much a regular in, I think, every single rules channel on every Discord that I that I've ever been in.
I try to. I like answering the questions. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do for work?
I'm a teacher. I'm a
Oh,
elementary
that's
school
right.
teacher.
That's right. Okay. Cool.
So I'm
Very
used to
cool.
answering questions repeatedly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
true. And probably ridiculous ones several times over. Yeah.
yeah, it's a bit of
Yeah.
fun.
Oh yeah. So for Atlanta, what was the most like difficult decision you had to make? I don't I don't it seemed like the final round went fine. Everything went okay there. But I know
Yes.
there was some other cases where there were decisions made that weren't well. Anyway, I'll let you talk.
I can't really go into like specifics about a lot of the judge calls that happened for the
Okay.
stream. Um, but there were some challenging moments. I definitely learned a lot about how to handle actual judge calls.
Mhm.
There's a huge difference between actually dealing with two people in front of you who are playing a high stakes, intense game compared to sitting in the Discord being like, well, this is how it works, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Where you
so
can have a
that was
20
a
minute
lot.
discussion and,
Right, exactly.
yep.
So yeah, there were some interesting calls, there were some difficult calls, but overall, I'm pretty happy with how everything went. I think most of the most of the challenging ones I think we resolved satisfactorily, although I'm
Yeah.
sure not everybody involved was happy, but I mean, we did our
Well, I
best.
mean, they called a judge over so that there was some point of contention, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
even in
that,
some cases, they didn't call a judge over. There was a couple of times when we had to step in
okay.
without being called over, which is kind of the benefits slash the downside of being on the feature tables.
Right, right. So you were over there the entire time. You weren't just out like roaming the floor or anything like that.
I was in the feature area for the majority of the time. Yeah,
Okay.
there were
Okay.
points where I had a break and I would be out and about.
Okay.
technically off duty, but I didn't have an off duty sign, so somebody sees me walking by with my judge
Hanging
shirt
around your
on and they
neck.
grab me. I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah. But the bright because y'all's were red, weren't they? Instead of
Uh,
competitor, it said judge or something.
yellow.
I forget.
We had staff,
Yellow.
so yellow.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. It was pretty easy to pick y'all out. All dressed
Yes,
the same and everything
with
too.
our fancy button downs.
I know, right?
Yep.
Oh, well, that's good. I forget. I think it was the first day I happened to follow, or I was going back down to the area, down in our sub basement where we were at,
Uh,
3 floors down underground.
yep.
Um, and I happened to follow like all the judges and all the staff and everything, and I was like, that looks nice. Everybody's all unified and everything, and it seemed, I met a couple of the other judges, and I'm actually going to talk to one of the other ones in another interview later on. Um, but it seemed like everybody was having a pretty good experience with, the whole being a judge part of things, like that things were pretty well organized. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that is fair to say. I liked the parts. It was fun as the big like group of judges walking out into MomoCon,
Hmm.
where all these people were there dressed in their incredible cosplays, and
Oh my
then
gosh.
a whole bunch of them turning and like gawking at us walking through as like a group of uniformed people,
Right,
which that was really funny to me.
right.
But yeah, the overall, I think the organization was pretty smoothly done. Obviously, there were
Yeah,
some issues with Melee. We had to make some changes on the fly and some last minute things
right.
that were less than ideal, but I think it was handled fairly well,
Yeah,
as at
yeah, it
least
seemed like,
as well as we could manage.
yeah. And like I told you before, from a competitor side, everything seemed to work pretty smoothly. The melee stuff was out of your control. There were a few times I think that there was some confusion with the players on like where to go and
Mhm.
who was supposed to be where and all that. But that's not really the judge's role. Um, so if you had like a recommendation for any improvements to, either how judges are, not how they're selected, but to the whole process. What would you see as kind of an area for improvement?
I feel that some of the documentation that we get from Ravensburger is still a little limited. It's not as
Mhm.
clear or comprehensive as I would like, particularly the play corrections guide that tells us, how to handle warnings and that kind of business. I think
Right.
that's still a little unclear. Um, and just having everything sorted out a little further in advance
Yeah. Yeah.
is always nice. Um, but with the time frame that PPG and Ravensburger and everybody was working within, yeah,
Hmm.
I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Are you going to Chicago, judging at Chicago?
I am going to Chicago, but I will be at
Uh,
Chicago as a player, not a judge this
okay.
time. Yeah.
Okay. Were you sad at all that you didn't play in the first one here in the US?
I I did try to get a ticket. Um,
Yeah.
and I actually got off the wait list, but by that time I had been told that I was going to be judging. So I
Okay.
I went with the judge rather than play. But I'm honestly just happy to have been involved at all, to have been there facilitating the first one, I think is just as good, just as meaningful to me as having played in the first one.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And I mean, I got to be at the top table, and that definitely would not have happened if I'd have been playing. So
Yeah, yeah, I know, right? Oof. Yeah, I did not do very well over the weekend. So I got to enjoy plenty of side events. Let's just say
there you
that.
go.
So okay, so you've got the experience now. So as someone coming from that perspective, if somebody else wanted to get into judging, maybe they've done previous games before or are completely new to it, what kind of recommendations do you have?
I think probably the best way to get into it in general is locally,
Hmm.
volunteering, or making yourself, excuse me, something happening outside my window. Um, Making yourself available to local stores, especially for like the set championships that are coming up again.
Hmm.
I'm sure there are plenty of places that are looking for people to work that. That's a great way to get started. If you're looking to make sure that you are knowledgeable enough to do it, I would definitely suggest hanging out in the rules channels on the
Yep.
discords, and maybe not even weighing in on the discussions, but just listening and reading, um, kind of testing yourself, if you like,
Hmm.
against the answers, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely attest to the hanging out part. I've learned so much and so many things I didn't even think about. Different interactions with cards and what fires first and how it affects the others. And yeah, it's crazy when you start getting down to those little nuanced levels of things. You really have to make sure you're keeping everything in order, and the whole bag system just kind of blows things out of the water
I
a
love
little
the
bit.
bag. Love the
Yeah.
bag. The bag
Yeah.
is great.
It's interesting. It took me a little bit to get my head around it just because I think in previous games that I've played, it's been more of like, here's what happens, like they stack. They don't,
Mhm.
just all kind of go in and then you pick and choose on, what you want to do. But um it takes a little getting used to, but I think now, more comfortable with it. And I think everybody's kind of more comfortable and kind of understanding of you know, there's some things that are obvious about how they work and how they trigger and when they trigger and everything. But then you get down to the stuff that people need you for, the
Yeah,
weird interactions,
the weird stuff.
that kind of stuff.
I think a lot of it is fairly intuitive. Once you've got your head wrapped around the bag, I think
Hmm.
most of the rest of it kind of falls into place. But there
Yep.
are some funky things with replacement effects. There's some weird stuff with the game state checks and when those fire to make sure things are banished, that kind of stuff. That's all.
Hmm.
I like the edge cases. I live in the edge cases.
Yeah, I mean, I don't envy you having to make some of those calls. I can only imagine with, how competitive some of those players are that, it wasn't always the easiest thing. But have you ever had a case like I'm assuming do you play locally?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Has there ever been a time like you were playing locally and you had to do that kind of thing where somebody was like, they tried to play something, you were like, well, actually, hang on.
Uh, Not in a game with me. Um,
Okay.
Occasionally I've had people ask, just like lean over and be like, "Hey, is this how
Yeah.
this works?" But no, obviously, like the really edge cases where you can't figure it out are not likely to come up in play a lot of the time, just here and
Right.
there. So
Right. Yeah, they got to get the pro in on it.
we do actually have another gentleman at my locals where I play who's a judge. He kind of judges all of their stuff, so he's fairly
Oh, okay.
knowledgeable as well.
Cool. And does he plays too or just hangs out and judges?
Yeah, it depends on the day, but he
Oh,
plays some.
okay. Okay. Cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I figure, as the game grows and the community grows, the judge program, whatever they end up calling it, who knows? They'll come up with some clever name, I'm sure. Um,
Possibly.
probably can't be too far behind, I would think. It seems like people would want something a little more official than just, people that happen to apply and get in.
Yeah, I wish that I had some secret knowledge that I could pass along, but I don't know. I don't know anything about it other than what has been said before that something is kind of in the works and is coming. But
No, that's good.
beyond that, I don't know
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear though. You
for
want
sure.
them to be, planning out that far. I think somebody said, I forget who it was. Somebody said that they, because they already have like this whole 10-year plan or, 5-year plan or something out for it, this a lot of this stuff has probably been in the works for a little while. Which is kind of crazy as players and community members looking at this, okay, we see the set releases, we see the pre-releases of the cards before it's actually put out, and that's kind of our perspective on it. But to think that there's this whole different thing behind the scenes,
Mhm.
and they may not have been working on set four for, it might have been like a year in the past that they were working on it,
Yeah,
because of all the printing time and everything that it takes. It
yeah.
just, yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I think I think Ryan or Steve, I can't remember, might have mentioned that they're working on something like set 7
Oh my
right
gosh,
now. So
that's crazy.
right.
It seems like it's so far away, right? But it's really not, with them coming out so close together. I mean, I know that's pretty standard for most TCGs, right? They have a new
Yeah.
set that comes out every couple of months, but yeah, right now it's like, oh, we're only on set four, but it'll be here before we know it.
We're
So
only 2 weeks into set 4, and it feels
yeah,
like it's
I
been
know.
way longer than that.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that was I mean, I get the choice of them saying for Atlanta, set four isn't valid for the main event, because it was like a week or something, right?
Yeah.
But it still made it really tough to, because you want to play with the new shiny. You want to get out there and try
Oh
out
yeah.
those new decks and still being stuck with, the set three stuff,
I
stuck
still
with it.
have
It was a
all
great
my
set.
set 4 stuff that I've opened is just piled up on my table right there.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I haven't even put anything in a binder yet. It's all just sitting
Oh.
over there waiting for me to get to it. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I have League tomorrow and I don't have a deck put together. So
Oh no.
that's a job for tomorrow.
Well, do you have any ideas?
I think I'm gonna do like a silly blue or sapphire steel items concoction.
Okay.
I've seen some people
Like
brewing
with
around.
a Tamatoa or
Yeah, a little bit of Tamatoa, a little bit of the new Ariel in there,
Mhm.
a Lucky Dime or two,
Nice. Oh man, I
a little
love
bit of
those
that.
lucky dimes.
Lots of
They're
removal
so
for all the
nice.
annoying things in green.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That'd be cool. Yeah, you'll have to share the list.
I'm probably gonna steal somebody's list,
No.
but I'll tweak it. I'll
Borrow.
tweak it. Yeah,
Borrow.
borrow. I will borrow somebody's list.
There you go. Well, so we're talking a little bit about the future of Lorcana and the game and everything. So, from your perspective, what would you like to see in the future of the game?
Oh, that's a big question.
Could be mechanics, could be, something community wise, could be all sorts of stuff.
I'm definitely hoping to see the judge program come sooner rather than later. Um,
Hmm.
that's for sure something I'm looking forward to in the future. And then aside from that, I'd like to see those community events they've talked about. See what kind of form that's going to take for the people who are less competitive.
Yeah.
Uh, things that they want to run alongside these big tournaments. Um, I'm hoping that pack battles become a thing. I
Yeah,
know
that's kind of fun.
Ryan was out doing the 2-pack battles. Um,
Right.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna ask if we can have some packs at Chicago for the people for content creators. See if we can wander the floor with some
Nice.
packs. I'm gonna
That'd be
beg
fun.
if we can do some of
I'm
that. That would be
sure
great.
that wouldn't take much arm twisting,
Right.
honestly.
Just be like, hey, can I have some?
Yeah.
Go make some
Just a
friends.
few. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
think that
it
would be
was
a lot of fun.
really. Oh yeah, definitely. Um, it was really interesting to me to see, and having not been a part of a TCG community or anything like that before. I mean, I played Magic way back in the day, but was not into it, as much.
Mhm.
Um, but it was really interesting to me to see on the second day of the Atlanta DLC the amount of people that were there like way early to register for side events and stuff. Like it's not, I know they're still kind of competitive, but they're not like the big competitive, main event kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, and I showed up and I was like, oh, I'll show up, an hour early and I'll get there and register and kind of hang out. Yeah, I walked in like four lines of like 100 people each, and
Yep.
I mean, it's crazy, but the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, people not playing in the main one anymore. They want something to do. They want something fun. It's not as not nearly as competitive. Like some people were playing the multiplayer and they were just like having a blast with it. They were they were just kind of, goofing around and all that, which I think is great that they had that kind of diversity. It wasn't just let's do limited and let's do, the
Yeah.
regular games and everything. Um, to have some more unique events, I think would be fun too, like the pack battles you were talking about, just like a
Mhm.
casual walk up, you know, pay for a pack and then play real quick and then move on with your time or something.
I'd like to see them bring back the willpower league that they had at, I think it was PAX Unplugged, where it was the multiplayer pods, but they had people just rotating in and out constantly, and they were earning bonus points for different challenges and stuff.
Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't heard about that.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Interesting.
I wasn't there, unfortunately. I wish that I had been, but it sounded super neat.
Yeah, yeah. Wonder how that would work. Huh, that'd be interesting. Ravensburger, are you listening?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, cool. So speaking of the community, what's kind of your favorite part of the community? I know you're kind of out there, you're doing judge stuff, you're showing up on podcasts and shows all over the place. I mean,
This is
speaking of which.
the week the week post challenge where I get to show my face all over the place.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
oh gosh, my favorite part of the community, I think it's just the community,
Yeah,
just all
yeah.
the interaction. I love like I tune into This Week in Ink every Monday, and I like
Hmm.
seeing the same faces and the same names in the chat interacting, and new faces and new names showing up in the chat, and discovering all of the other community creators. And I just I like seeing it grow. There you go. That's what I
Yeah.
like. I like seeing it grow.
There you go. So is there anything you think that we as a community as a whole could do better to help, both the community grow and, potentially the game as well?
Um, I don't know. I think overall we do a pretty good job in general. I think sometimes we kind of get lost in the topic of the day,
Yeah.
uh, and maybe that could be, I don't know, a little exclusionary to the people who aren't as invested when maybe they log on to Twitter and they see everybody talking about the same thing, and they're like, well, I don't care about that.
It's like, why does that matter? I don't care. Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. But, I think that's just a part of a community, right? Sometimes these things happen, and
Yep.
that's what everyone's talking about.
Yep. Definitely. And I've been a part of communities like that in the past, where it's you're in it, but you're not like in it, like a lot of the same people that we know, are like really heavily invested in it, content creators and otherwise. And it's easy to forget about the people that are just kind of hanging out and want to play and I hope we as a community never forget that those kind of people are there and not, turn into a lot of what I've seen from other comments from other communities where it's, people shutting other people down because, oh, that's a stupid question or, oh, that's a stupid idea, kind of thing. I think the game being so closely related to, Disney and its IP, where it's a little bit more welcoming, it seems a little more familiar to people, they're not like learning everything brand new about the game. The art's familiar. And
Yeah.
I think it's always going to be bringing in new people and I want it to be where, everybody's welcome to, hop in on any discussion, you know.
I think we do have a lot of people in the community who are very who pay attention to that kind of thing, and who will
Hmm.
help keep everybody else, you know, thinking about that. We have like Rebecca from the Illuminary, and we've got like Y Breezy, right? All those people who
Yep.
are just super hype about the game, and thinking about just trying to keep the mood positive.
Yep. Yep.
That's what we need.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'm glad it's, we've got lots of people that are or that do, content that's like the in-depth, let's review these cards and these, the latest meta and, or certain formats or whatever. But I'm glad we do have the diversified kind of thing where there are people that are just kind of like, we all love Lorcana, let's hang out, you know. It's
Yeah,
not really,
there is
not really
definitely
a,
space for both, and
yeah, oh
I think
yeah.
both are necessary as well.
Well, and playing the game is such a social experience too, right? Playing in person, you're sitting there right across from the person, and now there's the what was the thing Brandon and Jonty just launched? The Ready Play Network?
Real play.
Real Play, that's right. Yeah.
Yes.
I love that they've kicked that off, and I really hope it catches on because I know, without Pixelborn being in Lorcana's future, we're going to need more ways to play. And not everybody's going to have, a local game store where they can go and sit down and play. And some people do have a store, but they can't make it.
Right.
And they're not always able to be there that one night that they're playing. And so it's great to have, other options like that. I know it's not quite the same, but it's close enough and it's still got the convenience factor.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'll go a long way to helping fill in
yep,
that void.
yep, definitely. And we'll see what happens if they ever decide to put out an official client one of these days.
We'll all keep our fingers crossed, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, it just has to be such a massive success that they just have to do it, right?
That's the plan, right?
Yep, definitely.
We all want it to be that much of a success, so hopefully it
Oh
will.
yeah. And I think it's off to a pretty good start. It was a little rocky with the availability for the first chapter stuff, but it seems like they, compensated for that, and there's been plenty of stuff to go around now. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and hopefully they keep that up.
Yep. And
I
I
think
love,
that
oh, go ahead.
I think the Ravensburger have proven that it's a worthy investment, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
think, yeah,
definitely. And I love how involved they are. It seems like, you could have it either way. You could have a company that's just like, here's the game, go play it. We're only interested in selling you the game. We don't care about anything else. And then you have it more like our situation where they're in the Discord. They're talking with, people in the community directly with the players, even presenting like just directly, not, you got the official lore cast kind of thing, but there's also just like the reveals on Discord,
yeah,
just sitting there listing off the cards and showing them off. So it's good. I feel like it's good that they're involved. I hope they keep it up. As the scale of the game grows larger, it seems like they're doing pretty well at adding to their team and growing their team, their community group. So we'll see.
yeah. I think as the game gets larger and the community grows, it gets harder for them to interact directly. But
Hmm.
I definitely think that Ravensburger are. I think that's a priority for them. It
Yeah,
seems like that. So I hope that it stays a priority.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, cool. Well, so I like to end with three questions. And I gave you these questions before, so hopefully you prepared.
Nope.
Nope.
No,
All
I did.
right. Well,
I had a little think.
okay. All right. So favorite ink right now?
Amber.
Amber. Oh, man,
Amber.
after my own heart.
It changes like all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. What do you prefer about Amber?
I just like um their big friendly vibe, I guess. Just having lots of things out and doing and singing as well. Steel
Yep.
Song was my main vibe in sets one and two. So
Yep.
I haven't been back for a while, and I probably am not going to go back this set, but hopefully someday.
Yep. That's actually what I played in Atlanta.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Went okay. So, all right. So, favorite card right now that you really enjoy playing?
Does it have to be a newer card, or can it
Oh
be
no, it could be any card. It could be set
because
one. I mean,
my
doesn't
favorite
matter.
card ever? of all time probably will never change is Big Tinkerbell,
Nice.
Giant Tinkerbell, just
Nice.
because she's so great. She was a great card to play, and the art is fantastic, and she
Hmm.
had a fantastic enchanted. Like, she's the whole package as a card, and
Yep.
I still don't own that enchanted, which I will one day.
One day.
One
Do you
day.
have the playmat?
I do not. No,
Uh,
I haven't been able to find one of those yet either.
yeah, yeah. I hear those are
That's
pretty hot commodity to try to
for
find.
sure,
But
for sure.
all right, and because Lorcana is Disney, do you have a favorite Disney movie?
My favorite Disney movie is Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
Nice.
It's
Okay.
a old classic, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
one
yeah.
one that I definitely had on VHS when I was a tiny little person, and I probably watched it enough to wear the whole thing out. But
Yeah. That's a good movie. I haven't seen
I
that one in
would
forever. Oh my
want to
gosh.
see more of those side characters.
Yeah, because we don't really have too many of them. Like two or three, right?
We got uh, a whole bunch of copies of Basil. We got
Right.
um, a bunch of different Radigans, and then I think it's just Fidget is the only other one. Oh, and Mrs.
Oh
Jetsam.
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Yeah. So it was a decent number.
Yeah,
More than I thought, actually. Yeah.
yeah, better than Wreck It Ralph is doing.
I know, right? Although, in fairness, I don't know about the whole Pixar coming into the game kind of thing. I mean, I guess if they do it right,
Well, Wreck It
but I
Ralph
don't want
isn't
to
Pixar.
deter. Is it? Yeah, it is, isn't he?
Mm-mm. Nope, just
Oh, I
Disney
thought it
Animation
was after they
Studios.
brought it in. Oh, oops.
Nope.
My Disney knowledge is failing me. Oh no. Oh, well, cool. Well, thank you for taking some time to sit down and talk with me. Tell people where they can find you, all your good stuff, your googly eye content.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for having me. I am just GooglyGlimmers everywhere, anywhere. Um, X, Twitter, Instagram. You can even find me on YouTube where I've got some rules videos that I really need to get back to making because it has been a far too long since I put one of those out.
And all the discords. Don't forget that.
Yes, all the Discords. If you see Googly Glimmers, I usually have two little eyeballs after my name as well, so you can recognize me
Yep.
pretty easily.
Yep. All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it. And I guess we'll see you around the community.
I'll be there. Thanks.
See ya. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great interviews with members of the Lorcana community. See you next time.